Hey there, tech savvy fans. Phil Seibel here, digital manager at the Brainerd Dispatch. I just wanted to give an update on some of the reviews that we've been working on here lately. We've had the opportunity, courtesy of Verizon Wireless. Big shout out to them. Thank you so much for thinking of us. We had the unique opportunity to look at a couple really unique phones that Verizon has offered now in the last couple of months. And one of the ones we've had a chance to look at is the HTC Droid DNA. Which is one of the first of its kind. It has a full 1080p resolution, quad-core, 1.5 gigahertz Snapdragon processor. Just wanted to go over some of the things that I've noticed about it in about the 2 weeks that I've had the opportunity to kind of play with it and learn what makes it tick. As you'll see as we open it up here, it's a very fast response. The startup time is very quick for an Android phone, and really what I wanted to do is compare it and say, okay, well, on a daily basis for a regular user using, doing daily regular tasks, how does that compare to some of the other Android phones we've used? I've used Android phones now since the HTC Droid era, which came out in 2009. So they've really come a long way. That one had a 700 megahertz processor and single core. So it really was at the time it was great. But as the operating system has advanced, the phones have needed to do that as well. Well, to me, you have to understand how the operating system works. One of the main differences between the iOS and the Android systems is that Android will allow apps to run in the background. And not just that it keeps it open, because the iOS will do that, but what it will actually run, tasks in the background, and things will complete and keep running. So what that translates to is you need a phone with a faster processing power and a little more horsepower behind it. And really that's where the DNA is going to excel. Because it has that quad-core processor, it's going to be able to handle a lot more tasks simultaneously, and so you're going to notice less lag across your entire experience. So that was really noticeable right from the start. The other thing you're going to notice about the DNA is it does have a 5-inch screen, and at that 1080p resolution, it is just phenomenal. We took some pictures, took some video. Really nice camera, very responsive. It took pictures instantly. So that's a big change from the phone I'm currently using, which is a Motorola Droid 3. Great phone also, but running on 3G, the Motorola Droid 3 is. So really we're not comparing apples to apples there anyway. But really a fast phone is what this DNA is, and all the great Android usuals, great widgets, great interaction. Syncs up with all of my Google stuff. It really does everything that I've always expected from an Android phone, and then more. One of the really cool features of the new 4.1 Jelly Bean and now 4.2 Jelly Bean, which is rolling out too, is of course the Google Now, which is a really integrated system that Google has created to incorporate voice commands along with daily tasks and a whole bunch of other things there too. Off the cuff you might call it Google's answer to Siri, but really it's a little bit more than that. You're really not talking about things that are completed the same way when you're comparing those two systems. So you can ask it to navigate to certain points, you can get directions, you get information. It's a very intuitive system to be in too. So it's all at the touch of a button as well. So it's really been fun to play with this phone. One interesting thing to note too is the battery life. Everyone always wants to know, okay, well, smartphones are notoriously horrible with battery life, so how does this one compare? It has a larger battery than my Droid 3. The HTC DNA has a 2020 milliamp hour battery. So what does that translate to? I did some rundown with some regular usage. I was using social media, Facebook and Twitter, posting some pictures, taking some video, browsing the internet, checking my emails, making some phone calls. With regular daily usage on what I've experienced, my use to be so far, I've got the DNA battery to last about 34 hours, and that got me down to 10% charge, which is miles above what my Droid 3 can do. We compared it with someone here who has an iPhone 5, and it blew it out of the water. And there's just no comparison for battery power, based on the size of this battery. They've really done a good job, optimizing the usage of the battery. So I'm really excited about that. For me to be able to get through a whole day on one charge with my smartphone, to this point has not been possible. And with this phone, it really is. And the nice thing about that too is, you read about like some of the other phones now that, the all-day battery smartphones, they have these gigantic batteries. They make them really heavy. They make them really cumbersome. And if you can look and see, this here, if I flip it sideways from this to a side profile, it almost disappears. I mean, this phone is incredibly thin. It's very lightweight. It's very svelte. It fits in my hand very nicely. You can look. You really can't tell. I don't have gigantic hands, and so for me to be able to pick up a 5-inch screen phone comfortably and use it, that really says a lot. HTC. I've always been really impressed with their phones, and this is certainly no exception. Maybe one other notable thing to mention, about the phone itself in HTC's history is HTC has always had what they call their HTC Sense, which is a bit of a user interface that they overlay across the Android operating system. And what that's designed to do is really to kind of smooth out the performance and make it a little better of a user experience, for us. In the past, with my HTC Droid DNA and things like that, it was very noticeable that there was more than just the Android OS on there. And with some of their newer phones, and especially with the DNA here, HTC has refined their Sense UI to really be integrated with the Android system, and it's not really as noticeable as it was in the past, and it makes it a really nice phone to use. I have to tell you, this is a really unique phone, especially for me to take a look at. They've got the NFC, so you can use the Android Beam. You can do touch to share kind of thing, like if you've seen all the TV commercials now that have the touch to share, playlists and photos and videos. You can do that with this phone here. Everything about this phone has impressed me. There's maybe one thing that I've noticed that is atypical of Android phones is this one is sealed, so it has no removable battery, and therefore it also has no expandable micro SD card. It comes preloaded with 16 gigabytes though, so you're really not at a loss there. I've run 16 gigabytes on all my other phones, and I run hundreds of apps, and I have never run out of space. So, if you're a big, a movie fan or a music fan, and you've got tons of that, you might be in a little bit of trouble. But, with all the streaming music like Slacker Radio and Pandora and things like that, really not an issue on a mobile device anymore. Beautiful resolution screen. It also comes with the Gorilla Glass, from Corningware, so, it's a very, very solid front piece there. Shines up very nicely. I can wipe smudges off. You never even notice that they were there. And of course, it runs on Verizon's network, which I've been on Verizon's network for about the past 10 years now, and I've never had service issues. But one unique thing about this is, it is a 4G LTE capable phone, and so you're going to get that really advanced speed. This phone is lightning fast. It is seamless to use. If you've been an Android user from the get-go, this is kind of a no-brainer. People would say I'm definitely an Android fan, and I am. I like everything about it. There are very few things that I don't like, and just because it's so versatile. And this phone is certainly no exception with the themes that they have integrated, with the control you have over it, with the quality of the way that the phone works. HTC has really hit a home run with this one, I think. Maybe some of the finer things to note too with the audio system, it has a very great speaker quality. They're really small, it is a mobile phone after all, but we've had the volume cranked on these things, watching some YouTube videos and things like that. Zero lag because of the 4G LTE, and the picture quality is great, and the sound comes across crystal clear. It's really been a pleasure to use, across all of our media. Easy to share, I've been able to link it to my Dropbox, and my Box, and my Google Drive, and everything else that I use. Everything is just seamless, and that's really what I want in my phone. I want to use a smartphone that does exactly what I need it to do, with really no questions asked, and this phone really does that. If I could sum up what the HTC Droid DNA is going to do, really people should go and you need to go look at this phone. It's an easy thing for me to say on a review where you say, okay, well, what are the details? But really, go into the store, ask them, see if you can find a model that you can actually beat your hands on and see just how smooth it interacts because of the Sense UI, how fast it moves because of that quad-core processor, the speed of the downloads that you have because of the 4G LTE on Verizon's network is tremendous. The camera is unparalleled. It is an 8 megapixel, but it takes crystal clear photos. It also has some built-in filtering, which is really neat, if you're into that sort of thing. Does really well in different lighting situations, different atmospheres and things like that. So really impressed overall with this phone. Definitely check it out. Thank you again to Verizon and HTC You guys have a phenomenal phone on your hands right here in the HTC Droid DNA. I can't wait to get my own.